This is Linda Lang from ThoughtChange.com. We are exploring the mystical side of life once again this week. If you enjoy our conversations, remember to subscribe, share with a friend. Today, we have Craig Goldberg with us. Craig is a relaxation expert, and he is the co-founder of inHarmony. Welcome, Craig.
Thank you for having me here, Linda. Grateful.
Craig, you call yourself a vibroacoustic therapy practitioner. What is that?
So, vibroacoustic therapy, which is the formal body of research that kind of governs what we do, has been around for 45 years. Late 1970s, it was coined by a gentleman by the name of Olav Skill. And it is specifically the study of sound and frequency, vibration on our physiology, our anatomy, our neurology. And it focuses on the frequencies in the range of 30 hertz to 120 hertz and their impact on our body, but every part of our body, the muscles, the bones, the organs, and the entire body as a whole. 8 years ago, I had an experience on our technology. I wasn't part of the company. I don't know if they wanted me to be a part of the company at the time. I think they might have, and that's a different conversation, but I was just a guy that was going to check out this cool piece of technology that my now business partner, Dominic, had curated and made some updates to. And at the time, I was actually looking for something like it, although I had no idea what I was actually looking for. Like so many of the folks that find us, they're like, I didn't even know you existed. I didn't even know what I was looking for until I found you. And I was actually, at the time, I was traveling the world, teaching with my wife on the efficacy of essential oils, teaching people how to use these plants and their amazing medicinal properties. And we would go to these yoga retreats and these conferences, and there'd be sound therapists there. You know, the acoustic instruments, bells, chimes, gong, the didgeridoo, that sort of thing. And I didn't know what it was about it, but I laid down in front of these angels, and 45 minutes later, an hour later, whatever, I would wake up feeling like $1,000,000, the most relaxed and the most amazing I'd ever felt. And I kept doing it over and over again. I would literally check into my hotel or get our campsite set up, and then I would just run to these experiences. And I wanted it on tap. I wanted it when I want it. I wanted it out of my home stereo system, which at the time was a 5.1 stereo surround sound system. And I bought up a recording of a gong. I bought a recording of the acoustic instruments, the bells, the crystal bowls. And I remember laying my speakers out all around me. It was like starfished out in my living room and cranking this thing just as loud as it can go, trying to get the frequency therapy that I would get from sitting in front of a bowl. And it turns out I was using the wrong technology. The technology I was using was a speaker. And the technology I wanted to be using is what we use, which is called a tactile transducer, which converts sound into vibration. And that was 3 months before I met Dom and had my first Sound Lounge experience. And then, of course, I got introduced. I had my first Sound Lounge experience, and the rest is kind of history, as they say. It's a fun space to be in and a growing space, which is really beautiful.
I definitely agree that there is a different quality to the experience if you are listening to like a audio track and you're actually in person in the room with bowls and gongs.
On that front, yes. And mainly that comes down to how we as human beings perceive sound. And we do that through our nervous system. And I think the easy layup for that is the audio nerve and the cochlea and the ear and our hearing has a sense. However, when you couple that with feeling, our sense of touch, that's when I think the real magic starts to unlock. And you're right. When you're laying in the presence of a bowl, that frequency, at that pressure wave, keep in mind how we perceive sound. Sound is simply a pressure wave moving through the air. And we perceive changes in pressure through the ear. If you're listening, I'm pointing to my ear and the cochlea and the auditory nerve, as I mentioned. But we also feel touch is really a change in pressure. We have something called mechanoreceptors in our skin. There's 3 different types of mechanoreceptors, from the tips of your toes to the tips of your hands to the top of your head. We have these mechanoreceptors all over the body. And these receptors are constantly sending changes in pressure signals to the brain, which we perceive as touch. Sound is a pressure wave, and we feel that change in pressure on our skin. Think of when you're at a concert and you're standing in front of a stack of speakers, that bass that hits your chest. That is a sound wave coming out of a subwoofer, flowing through the air, and eventually you perceive that as bass or sound because it's coupled and paired with the signals from the brain. So while I agree, yes, laying in the presence versus listening, generally speaking, the bells, the crystal bowls, the chimes, even the gong, which is the most complex frequency that we know, they're higher frequencies than what we perceive through our sense of touch. Our mechanoreceptors activate between 5 hertz and 300 hertz. Our ear activates between 20 hertz and 20,000 hertz. Just to put that in perspective, that subwoofer that's in your home stereo system, like I was talking about before, typically activates at 80 hertz and below. So we're talking about low-end frequencies that are perceived through our sense of touch, while the higher frequencies in the full spectrum, if you will, of sound is perceived through our ear. And there's some overlap in our technology. You are both hearing and feeling the same frequencies at the same time. And this creates this three-dimensional, fully immersive sound experience, like an amplified version of sitting in front of a bowl or a crystal bowl or a bell or a chime or that sort of thing.
Can we crank up our stereos so that we actually get a blast of that crystal bowl?
Short answer is yes. Look, if you've got a subwoofer, if you have a sound bar and a subwoofer, you can absolutely get benefit from that. You want to be as close to the subwoofer as you can, because that subwoofer, the technology itself is designed to project that sound wave out, that pressure wave out into the air, versus a tactile transducer, which is you're connected to, and it's direct transfer of energy to the body. But yes, you can absolutely do it. What you play is the next part. So there were 2 reasons why I wasn't able to attain what I wanted to attain back in now 8.5 years ago when I first had that experience with my home stereo system and a gong recording. The first was the recording itself. Most of these instruments, acoustic instruments, as I said, are higher frequencies. They're not activating the subwoofer. They're not activating the low-end frequency response of that sound system that you're sitting in front of. Luckily now, inHarmony Media is 8+ years old, but we've been making music specifically for this type of application. And anybody who's listening right now can go to our YouTube channel where we have music optimized for your home stereo system, for your car stereo system, although I don't recommend using it while you're driving, or even a Bluetooth speaker. A lot of these Bluetooth speakers have enough sub and enough low end that you can really activate that subwoofer. And in turn, you can really feel those changes in pressure wave with the body. And it doesn't take a lot, to your point. Our furniture is beautiful and gorgeous and amazing, and it is absolutely an upgrade from your typical Bluetooth speaker or home stereo system. But you can absolutely gain value from resources that you already have at no charge. And we create those resources as a gift to the world so that everybody can participate and money doesn't become the obstacle, if you will, to gaining the value of what we do. So right now you can go to our YouTube channel, inHarmony Interactive. Scroll down, you'll find 2 playlists with about 17 or 18 extended music meditations that are 11 hours long, that are specifically designed to be played throughout your entire home through the day. The vibrations are not as intense as they are in our app. However, you can just as easily download our app, connect that to a Bluetooth speaker and listen to it just through your phone. It's $8 a month, and that goes towards app maintenance and new music and that sort of thing.
And what kind of benefit does it bring you when you actually include the vibration and the tactile sense, the frequency, along with the sound?
Listening to music is medicine. It is therapeutic. And whatever music you love moves you. And it will absolutely bring benefit and value just hearing it through your ears, not having a big enough sound system or a subwoofer for you to feel those frequencies. But when you merge the 2 together, especially with the right amount of amplitude, the right amount of volume, the right amount of really feeling that bass, it unlocks physiological benefits. Not only is it helping you to achieve a specific brainwave state like alpha, theta, delta, gamma, getting out of beta, getting out of the to-do list, and focusing more on rejuvenation and relaxation. When you pair and hear the same things that you're feeling, you now unlock these physiological benefits, such as the vibrations themselves actually send a message to every muscle in your body telling it to relax. So if you have an old injury, it's one of the most common kind of testimonials and feedbacks that we get after your first session is like, I have this tennis injury from college and it's never really felt right. I didn't really have the range of motion that I did back then. And a lot of times that happens because the nervous system locks down mobility of that arm to protect it, heals, and then never unlocks, it never releases. Why bodywork, massage therapy, acupuncture, acupressure is so powerful, because you're giving a signal to that muscle saying, hey, relax a little bit and let's ease off. And then if the stimuli is still there, if there's still an injury, it'll obviously tighten up again. But if the injury's gone, you'll get that mobility back. So a lot of times people get on our sound lounge at an event not knowing what it is, or coming in for a therapeutic session, and a byproduct is they get that range of motion back almost immediately. And that because those muscles are starting to relax. So the first thing is it helps the muscles to relax. The second is that it absolutely has an impact, a positive impact on circulation. It absolutely has a positive impact on lymphatic drainage and opening up detox pathways. And then, as this is the podcast that talks more about the esoteric, it also has an impact on the spiritual connection, reinforcing the mind-body connection, reinforcing and shaking out trauma that's stuck in the body. There are so many profound impacts that you get once you start to increase the amplitude beyond that of just a normal gong or an acoustic instrument.
So would you consider this to be something that keeps you really grounded and centered in your body?
Absolutely. And during a session, very easily and very quickly can take you out of your body and help you to astral project and spend time in that spiritual realm.
Any interesting experiences you can share with us, Craig?
Okay, so I do sessions here at my house as a practitioner. I have people come to the house all the time that want to do sessions. So I just had two gentlemen here from the rodeo. One of them he's a huge fan of what we do. He's traveled all over the world to do sessions all over the country. While he's competing, he'll find practitioners using our inHarmony locator that we were just talking about, and he'll do sessions at every city that he can. And he brought his cousin by today, and his cousin did a session for the first time, and he said he basically felt like he was floating above the bed, that he was out of his body, and yeah, he explained, hovering above and kind of being out of his body. This is somebody that is familiar with psychedelics. It's certainly not beyond them, but again, we're achieving altered states of consciousness using sound and vibration.
And so when you say practitioner, you have a device that people use that are listening to music. What is the practitioner role?
Well, two things. First of all, to create the space and to make sure that we understand exactly what that human experience is that's coming to meet with us. So as a certified vibroacoustic therapy practitioner, a lot of that is really holding space and understanding who this human is. So intake, having a conversation. How are you feeling? What do you want to work on today? What's your intention? Anything bothering you? Any discomfort? What are you working with that we need to address? And then creating a space for that user ultimately to relax. And then, of course, integration afterwards, right? So even though it's a 20 or 30-minute session, I'll be with clients for an hour, hour and a half, prepping and preparing, setting the tone, educating, talking through exactly what they're about to experience. And then, of course, on the other side, and interpreting, integrating the experience that they just had to maximize its benefits over time. Understanding the music, obviously, and understanding that experience. At the beginning, you introduced me as a relaxation expert. Like what is that? And I didn't even know what that was until I was working with a new marketing agency, and she was kind of hearing me talk about what we were doing and our technology and all of that. And we talk a lot about relaxation, resetting the nervous system from sympathetic to parasympathetic, helping you get out of fight or flight and into calm and relaxed. And the technology does it largely for you, to your point of like, what does a practitioner do? It's really the technology is doing all the work, and it does do a lot of the heavy lifting. However, if you don't set the tone and if you don't really give the person permission to relax, then your nervous system is going to react to this new experience, shaking every cell in your body, harmonizing what you're hearing and what you're feeling, which rarely happens in nature or in the natural world and society that we've created. It'd be very easy for you to just run the mind and for you to not actually relax for 22, 33 minutes and for you to actually get more anxiety and get more stress. So I think the intake is really important. I also think that giving the user permission to relax is something that we don't often get. You're in a safe space. You're in my home studio. I'll be making sure everything is okay. I want you to close your eyes. I'm putting a blindfold on you. I'm putting headphones on you, and I'm putting you on a bed that's really going to take away your nervous system's senses of scanning the environment around it. Right? You're still going to be able to smell. You're still going to be able to taste, but of course you're not eating, and you'll smell whatever's in the room. But otherwise your eyes are off. your sense of touch is off and your sense of hearing is off. And your nervous system is largely how we evaluate the world around us, how we look for threats to keep ourselves alive and survive, which is why that sympathetic nervous system response exists in the first place. It's how it's developed for thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years. It has evolved to keep us alive, to protect us. And there are signals that we can send to the nervous system that allow it to be safe and relaxed. And that is, by the way, very different today than it was just 200 years ago, 300, 400 years ago, when we were sleeping outside predominantly. 85% of our day was spent foraging for food or hunting or out on the prairie looking for food. Whereas now I sit here in a very beautiful home. I see the beautiful flower of life. I see, it looks to be like overhead lighting. So you must have electricity. I would imagine there's air conditioning and heat. And I would imagine you spend a good amount of your time indoors. You might garden and do things outside. You might like base jumping or parachute. I don't know, like whatever you're into that gets you outside. We all have, I love to snowboard. I love to hike. I love to camp. I love to be outdoors. And I certainly do that. But during the week, I could spend at least 4 hours, if not 8 or 10 hours a day sitting here at my desk, which is comfortable. I got a red light so I can, keep things going and keep things focused. And I can certainly ground and keep myself grounded. And I play frequencies in the background. And there's a lot of things that I can do to tend to the fact that I'm not outside. But we're spending a lot of time indoors. We're spending a lot of time in other frequencies, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, electricity even has a frequency of 60 hertz. So I think there's a lot of different things that have changed over the recent history, 50, 80, 100, 200 years. And our bodies have not evolved to keep up with that. And while I don't agree with everything that they talk about in the biohacking world, I do agree that the nervous system of the human body was really designed to protect us from physical threats and emotional threats and relational threats. Yes. Nutritional threats. Absolutely. But for the onslaught of what we deal with, our nervous system deals with on a daily basis today is 100-fold what we used to deal with 300, 400 years ago. Now, don't get me wrong. There were threats back then, and survivability was absolutely at the forefront of every human's existence back then. But life expectancy was much shorter and the day was much easier. You woke up in a cave, you went out to explore the open prairie. The very fact that you were on the open prairie would send a signal to the brain that you were safe because there are no predators around. A predator appears and that nervous system response kicks in, and then you want to go into fight or flight. You want to be able to fight or protect yourself or run. And then you would go look for food and you would be the predator on the prey, right? So life has changed significantly for us, and relaxation is not an everyday occurrence for many of us, especially if you're in the grind.
I definitely agree. It's a constant kind of stress. That's the problem. We don't have as much downtime. And when we do have downtime, we often can't let go of that stress to actually relax.
Or we're not actually taking advantage of that downtime to truly relax. We'll think downtime is doing the dishes and listening to a podcast. You're still stimulating the brain. You're still listening, learning, educating. Micro learning is the big thing now, scrolling through Instagram and learning while you're doing it, right? Like, that's not true relaxation. True relaxation is getting outside, laying in a hammock and listening to the wind blow. When was the last time you did that? I try and do it often. I have 3 hammocks in my backyard. Like, I try, right? So we need that extra push to truly be relaxed and give ourselves time to rejuvenate. Rest is as important as our go time. Whatever life throws at you, we've got to deal with it. And that all creates the potential for stress and anxiety.
So do you think this technology actually helps build your resilience?
Absolutely. So now you're getting on to a very important topic. So there's a concept called hormesis. It's totally Googleable. It's a real thing. And this is my definition, not the Webster's, if you will. But hormesis is basically what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's talking specifically to that resilience. And I think life in general, pushing through life in general creates resilience and shows you that you can and that you're capable, that you're strong, that you're powerful, that there's nothing this universe will throw at you that you can't handle, even though sometimes it might feel like you can't, you can. And when we dig in and we push through, that's where strength comes from. That's that conditioning of, I'm gonna get this done. I'm gonna get this done. I'm gonna do this. And I got this. And that is absolutely a muscle that needs to be worked out and trained. The sound lounge itself and our technology itself, it is a form of mild hormesis that sets in. When you lay down on the sound lounge for the first time and every single cell in your body begins to vibrate, every mechanoreceptor at the same time sends the same signal to the brain, you bet that's going to trigger that sympathetic nervous system response on a subtle level or on a higher level. So it's very common for people to feel an increased level of anxiety as they first start. And then as they realize that this is safe and I am calm and I need to relax, then you start to feel these layers of relaxation come over you and you just dig deeper and deeper and deeper into the sound lounge, the practitioner, the massage table, or the cushion that you're sitting on. It's really like you can feel the waves of relaxation coming over you as your body gets heavier. And you feel these waves of relaxation coming over you as you fall deeper and deeper and deeper into our technology and into the bed that you're laying on. It's a very soothing and calming experience. But to your point, it does take some resilience. We are training resilience. It's not very different from a cold plunge. It is very different than a cold plunge. Cold plunging is not fun. I don't care who you are, right? We do it because it creates that resilience and that mental resilience of I'm going to do something that I know is uncomfortable, needs to get done. And it's not difficult for me. I can do 3 minutes, 4 minutes, no problem. I know that it's short term. I know that this too shall pass. And part of that is the resilience of creating that understanding that this too shall pass and that I can handle this. I got this. By contrast, sound lounging feels fantastic. It feels amazing. It is one of the most pleasurable things that I do over the course of the day. And it really does. It feels fantastic. The vibrations itself, you can feel aches and pains drift away. You can feel muscles that you were strained relaxing.
I would expect that it would also improve your sleep quality as well.
Oh, this is my favorite topic. Sleep is nothing more than a conscious perception of a slower brainwave state. I'll say that one more time. Sleep is nothing more, and meditation for that matter, is nothing more than a conscious perception of a slower brainwave state. Your brain does not shut down or turn off. It doesn't sleep. It does different things as it drifts out of beta into alpha, theta, delta, and up into gamma. But ultimately, sleep is that perception of your body rejuvenating and drifting out of beta, eyes open, processing the world around you, into alpha, which is like a daydreamy state, down into theta, which is where we are during REM or rapid eye movement. It's where rejuvenation actually happens. And then down into delta, which is where cellular rejuvenation happens, or up into gamma, which is typically thought to be associated with higher states of consciousness. And different things happen when our brain drifts in and out of these different brainwave states to rejuvenate. And sleep is this very beautiful process of where over a 90-minute sleep cycle, we drift out of beta into alpha, theta, delta, and then back up delta, theta, alpha, back into beta. And then another 90 minutes, we drift back down. And ideally, we have 5 or 6 of these sleep cycles so that we get 7.5 to 9 hours of sleep a night, give or take. For some people, it's less.
I'd imagine it would also make meditation easier to access, that quietening of the mind.
Absolutely. Meditation is nothing more than a conscious perception of a slower brainwave state as well. It's tapping into that alpha, theta, delta brainwave state. And again, giving your body an opportunity to rejuvenate. It's why meditation is so wonderful in the middle of the day. It's why if you do a meditation right after lunch, you don't need that cup of coffee and you're giving your body that mental and physical boost that it needs because you're taking it through that rejuvenative process. That's why it's so great to be done in the morning because you've already slept and hopefully you're well rested. And now you can stay a little bit more cognizant, conscious, and aware during your meditation, which allows more downloads to come in and allows more things to happen on that front. But yeah, our meditation cushion, we basically serve 2 main parties, if you will. The first is somebody that can't meditate. And by the way, that's where I fell. I just couldn't shut my mind down. I could not get out of a beta brainwave state. I was so conditioned to be go, go, go mode that I had a hard time slowing down. And when you get on the meditation cushion or the sound lounge or any of it, your brain is literally harmonized into an alpha, theta, delta, or gamma brainwave state. It's guided there. It's taken there. And part of that is through cues in the music and pacing called brainwave entrainment, isochronic tones, binaural beats. There's a number of different things that we work into our music to help do that. And it does so very efficiently. It literally guides you into that meditative state so that you just, without thinking or effort, go there. For somebody who's been meditating 20 minutes a day for 20 years, knows exactly what they're doing, has it down to a science, absolutely loves the process. When that person gets on our cushion and has the volume and vibration set correctly, that person will need less vibration and less volume. Otherwise, they will find it distracting. But when they get those settings dialed in, they are taken to the depth of their meditative state, sometimes far beyond anywhere they were able to get to before, because they just didn't have that guide, that pathway to take them there. Sound and vibration, like a needle in a rut of a record, falls into place, and the neuroplasticity is already there. The neural pathways are already there. You are taken down deep into that meditative state and held there for as long as the music meditation goes. And I get these text messages really often from experienced meditators who are like, man, I had no idea how deep I could really go. Your tech is amazing. This is great.
Well, I'm getting all zenned out just listening to the possibilities.
You know, your voice, we are but reflections of each other, and your voice is so soothing and so calm that I just want to be soothed and calmed and kind of talk a little bit about what we're doing. It's beautiful.
Yeah, you could be sitting on your cushion, your inHarmony cushion, and really having an amazing experience, right?
Indeed. Indeed.
Indeed.
I think I'll listen back to this podcast on the cushion at some point.
Right. There you go. Craig, tell me if there are any precautions.
Sure. I think with everything, we need precaution, right? Look, at the end of the day, you're listening to music. Are there any precautions in listening to music? No. Certain music, right? But at the end of the day, you're listening to music, and there are no contraindications for listening to music. Now, when you add volume and vibration and gain and amplitude, yeah, that's when you need to err on the side of caution with certain conditions. Pacemakers are okay. If you're having a current psychotic break, our technology helps you to go within. If your within is not stable, you probably don't want to do that and go within. So current psychotic breaks, you want to use caution. Certain cases with thrombosis, certain cancers, when your body is clustering together cells to protect itself, you don't want to shake those cells and break them up. And again, you want to talk to your doctor. Anybody that recently had surgery or has any type of cut that is trying to close, you want to let the body close that up before you shake every cell in the body and allow that to shake apart. Pregnancy, there's really no formal study on pregnant women. The risk far outweighs the reward, if you will. I can tell you that my wife, particularly in her second and third trimester, used technology regularly. We did decrease the vibration and the volume. When a pregnant woman gets on, the most important thing is that mom is relaxed, or mom-to-be is relaxed, and that she doesn't have any doubt in her head that anything is happening to the fetus. So those are some of the things that you want to keep an eye on. And I think it's very intuitive, actually, as to where you might want to use caution. Now, in all of these cases, if you have any type of hesitation of who that is and what they're going through, err on the side of caution and set the vibration down to 0 or 1. And at a 1, it's so faint. I mean, a car has more vibration, right? Just driving down the highway. But again, if somebody falls into a high risk class of any kind, even if they think their condition, which has nothing to do with the contraindications, it leads down the path of using caution. Use caution. Start with it slow. Remember, that individual needs to be able to relax. And if they're thinking that they're doing more harm than good, that's the wrong intention for the technology. And that's why I went back before to say intention is really important. Education is really important. Guiding the person that's on there to just relax. Hey, look, there's no right way to do this. There's no wrong way to do this. You're not supposed to be doing something. You're just a guy or a gal laying on a bed listening to music. Try not to overthink it. Just lose yourself in the music.
You mentioned a few times the right vibration. How do you determine what level is for you?
So now we're talking about not frequency, we're talking about the intensity of the vibration itself. And on all of our amplifiers, you have a vibration control and a volume control. Vibration being for the transducers inside the hardware, and volume being for the built-in high-fidelity speakers, which were the only ones on the market to have built-in high-fidelity speakers, or headphones. When you plug in the headphones to the amplifier, it turns off the speakers and the headphones take over. I do my sessions at a 4 vibration. They go from 0 to 11. Our amps go to 11, which is a Spinal Tap reference from the 1980s, a cult classic that I loved. And if I was designing my own amplifier from the ground up, you bet your butt they're going to 11. My business partner thought I was nuts. I was like, yeah, it goes 0 to 10, but I really wanted to go 0 to 11. And he was like, why? And I was like, Spinal Tap. He's like, I remember that movie. And I forwarded him that scene on YouTube. And right before we went to manufacturing, he was like, are you serious about this 11 thing? And I was like, absolutely. And every now and again, like once or twice a month, I get a text message from somebody who sees the 11 and they're like, your amps go to 11. And I'm like, yeah, it's just for that time when you want one more and you want a little bit more. But I do my sessions at a 4. So what I recommend is start at a 1 or a 2, do a full session, 22, 33 minutes, longer if you can, and then see over the next 24 hours how your body performs and reacts. The first time we shake every cell in your body, it's possible. It's rare, but it is possible that you have detox effects. I'm shaking every cell in your body. I'm opening up moving stagnant energy. I'm moving your physical body. I'm shaking every cell in your body. It's very possible that we jumpstart and get some processes going that might be dormant for years, months, days, whatever. So I always say err on the side of caution and do a 2, and then next time do a 3. And if you respond well, do a 4. And at some point, you're going to hit a ceiling where it's no longer comfortable. Bigger humans that have more mass to move, you're going to want more vibration. Louder environments, if you're in the silence of my home, you're not going to want it as loud as if you're at a nightclub or if I have another sound system that I need to overcome. So there's plenty of headroom in our technology, but most of the time you don't need it. Start soft, start low.
You know, Craig, it's kind of crazy to think that we need help relaxing.
I agree. We talk about relaxation a lot, but when we're talking about meditation, the trolls come out and I usually get some comment that's like, you don't need a meditation cushion to meditate. I'm the one that does the comments for our company. And I'm the first one to reply back and you're 100% correct. Absolutely. Sit down in your room, go outside under a tree, get your feet and your bottom on the grass and close your eyes. And that's all you need to meditate.
Well, it is the state of the world, isn't it? We seem to have forgotten how to relax.
Look, it's a stimulating world. The reality is the world that we live in today is far more stimulating than it was 300 years ago. We're spending far more time indoors and around artificial frequencies than we are natural frequencies. We're getting far less negative ions and that positive negative ion exchange than we have in years past, let alone recent years past, but I mean the last hundreds of years as far as how our bodies have evolved. Unfortunately, it's just a reality of this world that we're in. Look, much of the biohacking world is built around mimicking nature and allowing you to have that experience outside of nature, inside your home. Red light therapy is just a mimic for the sun. Infrared, ultraviolet, red light therapy, blue light therapy. It's all part of the sunlight that we're supposed to be getting every single day, but so few of us are actually going out to get sunlight. It's the first thing that I do when I wake up. I walk outside in the rising sun when the sun is low to the horizon and it's just coming. That's when the UVA and UVB rays are soft enough that my skin can absorb it. It sets my circadian rhythm for the day. I'm barefoot. My feet are in the dirt because here in Vegas, it's mostly dirt, but I do have a patch of grass in my backyard and I'll go to that. I'm grounding in. I am allowing all of the electromagnetic energy that built up of me moving around in my sheets overnight. I'm allowing that to discharge into the earth. Your body is mostly water and minerals. You're basically a saltwater battery and an antenna We're constantly coming into and out of harmonic resonance with the different frequencies that we are presented with. We create static electricity over the course of the night. It's why sometimes when you're rolling around in bed and you touch down on your carpet, you get a shock. That is exactly the energy that we are discharging into the earth when we truly ground. Now, we have these grounding mats and we have grounding sheets, and it's all designed to mimic the fact of when we used to sleep on the ground. The reality is that grounding mat is not necessary. You just need to go outside and take your shoes off. But we're wearing rubber-soled shoes and we're walking around on petroleum-based plastic and oil-based products. But the reality is you just have to go outside. And sometimes we do. Other times we can't. Like when I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm creating content, I'm in front of a camera, I'm in front of multiple screens, and I need to do what I can to help mimic my sun exposure over the course of the day. And that's a red incandescent bulb.
And I think that it is true that some people need more. They need more time outside than other people. And it can be really challenging when you have a full schedule.
It's not a political statement. Inflation is a real thing. Americans are being pressed harder than they've ever been pressed. And the reality is, I know plenty of people that are working 2 and 3 jobs. I know plenty of people that are going to school while raising a family and working. We just don't have the convenience of doing what we want when we want for as long as we want. Until we do, right? I mean, look, I truly believe in working your tail off so that you have more free time. I'm in my 40s. I have more free time today than I did when I was in my 30s. I have more control over my schedule than I did back then. And to your point, I know plenty of people that are in the grind and are going from place to place, spending time in their car and spending time at a job that they love or hate, right? But do we do it because we have to do it? And then in school or in front of a computer at night to make up for it once the kids go to bed. Like, people have full schedules these days, and I want the most bang for my buck. And that's really where our technology comes into play. So over the course of the night, over those 7.5 to 9 hours of sleep, we're getting, I don't know. It really depends on the night, but my Whoop tells me that I get anywhere between an hour to an hour and a half of REM sleep, of deep rest. And that's over the course of a 9 hours, sleep session. So if I can give you 20 minutes in theta over a 22-minute vibroacoustic therapy session, it's the equivalent of like 4 hours of sleep and rest and rejuvenation on the body and the mind. So now all of a sudden you got a shortcut and you got a way that you can maximize rejuvenation and restoration in the body. And that to me is where technology really brings the most amount of benefit. In the shortcut and the increasing efficacy and outcomes to that natural exposure that I was talking about before. Hopefully, you're getting more bang for your buck as far as time investment to shorten down the amount of time that you need to rejuvenate, recuperate, and get your power on.
Isn't it amusing that technology that we've created took us out of balance, and yet we can also use technology to bring us back into balance?
Well said. I have this beautiful saying that I really love, which is technology got us into this mess, technology can get us out. And that's not to say technology is bad. I sit before you with a Pixel because we have an Android version of our app, an iPhone, a MacBook, 2 screens, and an iPad, and my red light and lights and a radio that I use as an intercom system here in my house, and speakers, and I'm on a standing desk. It's an electrical desk, for God's sake, right? Like the wires and the cables and the energy that flows through this desk in this room, it's full on. It's a thing, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Just to think, I'm 45 years old, to think this iPhone has more computing power than the first computer did when I was a kid. And I remember a time when it was only landlines. I remember a time when it was just one phone line in my house and one television in my house in the living room, and there was no remote.
And how wonderful that you are part of this company that give people the option to really bring that sense of relaxation and that kind of deep meditative state, like meditate like a monk, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Can get you to that point that a monk spends 20 years trying to get to. And it's different for everybody, but in your first few sessions, you can reach that deep level of relaxation and meditation.
Now, I thought it would be so interesting to actually try it, but we checked on your locator on your website, and the closest one is 4 hours away, right?
It's one of the biggest struggles in our growth as a business, on the business side of what we do, is that a lot of people want to try it. I will tell you this, we have a 30-day money back guarantee. I don't want anybody to have my technology that doesn't love it. That means if you like it and you want to return it, I'm happy to take that return. We get very few returns, fortunately, and I can make this statement and I can stand behind it. So we do stand behind our product, and we will make sure that you love it. We have a warranty, 2 years parts and service. I've got technology that's been running literally since our first 10 units that were built in November of 2016. Those units are still operating, rocking and rolling, and as strong as they've ever been. So we stand behind our product. If you can't find somebody nearby that can offer you a demo, I highly recommend taking the plunge and making your purchase, or pick up the phone and call me. My phone number is quite literally at the top of our website. And I'm grateful for anybody who's listening and wants to take a deeper look at what we're doing. I think you'll be very happy that you did.
Where can we send people who want to know more?
Absolutely. I am inHarmony.com is our website. I am being the two most powerful words in the English language, because whatever you put after them, you are. So why not be in harmony with the world around you? I am inHarmony.com. And then you'll find my phone number at the top, an email address at the bottom. You can communicate with us however you wish. And we're on all the socials, you name it. We're probably there: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, blah, blah, blah. We're everywhere. And we keep ourselves very easy to get in touch with.
So thank you for being my guest today, Craig.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me. Honored.
And thank you for listening to this week's edition of Exploring the Mystical Side of Life. You will find all of our conversations on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform. Come visit me at thoughtchange.com, pick up your copy of Learning to Listen, and we will see you again next time. Bye for now.